Before I proceed, I just would like to introduce to you some of my colleagues. The Secretary General of Buklod is here with us today, Efren Mercado. Efren, could you please stand up? Efren is a practicing lawyer. His most notable accomplishment in that career is a land reform case involving several farmers that went all the way to the Supreme Court, and he won it. So right now, the farmers are enjoying the piece of land that they were able to get from the land reform. We also have with us our treasurer, Buklod treasurer, Freddy Non. Freddy? Freddy is or was a practicing accountant like myself. He moved to commerce and industry later on. He is now a commissioner of the Energy Regulation Commission. He is one of the five commissioners. The biographical sketches of Efren and Freddy are included in the press kit that was given to you earlier today. I also would like to introduce to you the chairperson of our Quezon City Committee. A committee is a branch. We use the word committee because that seems to be a universal. Some of the other countries are using that term. I would like to introduce Leon Peralta. Leon has been a very active advocate of good government, both in the national level and in Quezon City. He organized an organization called Anti-Trapo Movement in Quezon City several years ago. Now with that, I will read a statement or remarks, and after that I'll be very happy to answer any questions that you may have. Good morning, dear guests and friends in the media. Thank you for taking time to join us today as we discuss an important agenda that concerns our country and countrymen. As the next national and local elections draw closer, we thought that this is the perfect time to present to the media our national political party, Buklod, which is a Filipino term that when translated in English means union. Buklod was organized in 2009, and its registration as a political party was approved by the COMELEC in November of the same year. Buklod is a national political party, not a party list organization. As such, Buklod can field candidates for national and local elective positions anywhere in the Philippines. The members of Buklod are ordinary Filipino citizens like me. We thought that it has become necessary for ordinary citizens to get actively involved in national politics, political affairs, because of our past and present leaders, sad to say, had not been able to fulfill the country's great promise since it became an independent nation in 1946. Up until today, nearly 70 years later, that's right, 70 years, the future is uncertain and there are no clear signs that we can lift the nation to a significantly higher level of economic and political development that our country's neighbors had achieved but had eluded us. A key indicator of this sad state of affairs is the extent of poverty, especially extreme poverty that we see around us. No less than the President NEDA Secretary indicated a few weeks ago that the extent of poverty in 2013 was almost 25% of the total population. That translates to about 25 million with the present population of 100 million. But more than this, an SWS survey done recently indicated that self-rated poverty extended to more than 50% of Filipino families. That's a huge number. Unemployment continues to be high, and so with underemployment. What saved us, I think, during the last many years are the money remittances that the country receives from the Filipino diaspora. our overseas Filipino workers. But as you know, the OFW situation carries with it heavy, and I think very heavy social costs. And to some extent, it hurts our pride and our esteem as a nation. Buklod believes that the present leaders, just like the past leaders, can no longer bring this country to its desired level of economic and political development because they're all trapped in a dysfunctional system where the greater motivation appears to be self-interest, especially in acquiring the power and the means to get themselves re-elected, or their close relative, son, daughter, father, mother, brother, sister, and other relatives to get elected when their own term of office comes to an end. I think we know that for a fact. It is therefore not surprising to see that today the entire Philippine nation is governed by less than 100 families. And this condition goes on and on. Our politicians have developed and continue to maintain what I call an incestuous condition. Being incestuous will not bring good results, as you all well know. Buklod intends to change this dysfunctional condition by building a strong political party to attract well-meaning citizens to become members of Buklod and encourage some of them to run for political office to replace the present ineffective elected officials. In other words, we are presenting to the Filipino people through Buklod an alternative to the present breed of ineffective, self-interest motivated political leaders. We realize that this is a very difficult endeavor, but we are looking at this activity with a long-term view. Although we are not rolling out a spark that may lead us to achieve our objective sooner. We also realize that election in the Philippines is not presently competitive because of the advantages that the political dynasties possess. However, we are determined to build a political party with a clear ideology that will be perceived by the citizens to be more important than the individual members of the party. In other words, the party's candidates will be elected, mainly because of the party Buklod and its ideology, and not solely because of the personality and popularity of the candidates themselves. In Philippine setting, we know that this concept is idealistic at present time. But this condition exists in many countries, and we do not see any reason why we cannot establish such condition in the Philippines within a reasonable time. Moreover, maybe it's about time that our country is governed by idealists who have a clear vision of how to improve the lives of the Filipino people and thereby provide more opportunities for the Filipino people to achieve their long-sought aspirations for a better life. Buklod's ideology is contained in a document which we call Buklod's Objectives and Beliefs. We submitted this document to the COMELEC as our political platform. I brought with me some copies of this document which had been distributed to you earlier, included in the press kit. This Buklod document covers practically all areas of concern to all Filipinos, important matters that relate to the substantial improvement of the life of the Filipino people. These matters include, among others, eradication of poverty, economic development, political development, protection of the environment, maintenance of peace and order, and of course, eradication of corruption that plagues deeply our society today. I do not intend to cover in this oral statement much of the areas covered in Buklod's Objectives and Beliefs, but I would like to dwell briefly on more important ones. The main focus of Buklod's political program at this stage is the significant reduction of poverty. Our thrust is to apply direct state intervention in eliminating poverty. There are two major areas that we have identified that may greatly help in this endeavor. First is education. In almost all cases, those Filipino parents living in poverty did not finish high school and even elementary education. Their children, who usually number more than 3 in a family, tend to end up the same way. They also do not finish high school or elementary school, mainly because of lack of money for meals and transportation. For this reason, the parents prefer that their children work at an early age to earn even a little amount of money. This is the main reason why the cycle of poverty in our country cannot be broken. It just goes on and on and on. The parents did not complete basic education and their children tend to end up the same way. As a result, these parents and their children are generally unemployable and could do only low-skilled work in agriculture or services. But what makes matters worse is that these low-level employment opportunities do not happen continuously, as you know, and therefore such poor Filipinos do not have gainful employment most of the time. If one puts this sad condition in the context of the two main things that drive the Philippine economy today, Filipinos doing work overseas and outsourcing work being brought by foreigners into the Philippines to be done by Filipinos, these poorly educated Filipinos could not even dream to obtain the benefits coming from these developments because they do not have the necessary educational qualifications and skills. This is the sad reality that we have been facing for many decades now. The lack of sufficient basic education among Filipinos suffering in poverty. At present, as in the past, there seems to be no well-organized and effective activities being pursued by government to deal with this problem successfully. Without going into many details, Buklod will strongly endeavor to solve this problem. A Buklod government will provide free breakfast or lunch or even both, as well as transportation to all elementary and high school children belonging to families under the poverty threshold to enable them to continue attending school. We will also use moral suasion, using all available means, including the barangay system, to encourage and motivate the parents to get their children finish at least high school, especially under the present K-12 education system that appears to provide a vocational training path to those that are planning to attend college. We believe this will be an effective solution, and this is already being done in many other countries as I speak. The other important aspect of poverty eradication that we plan to do is to provide those families under the poverty threshold and who do not possess any decent housing a piece of land for free. I would like to repeat that, a piece of land for free, where they can build a decent house a la Gawad Kalinga. This housing program includes providing government financial assistance for the cost of materials. We justify this program by recognizing that these poor families are descendants of our ancestors who were dispossessed of their use of land during the Spanish conquest and administration. Our ancestors had free use of land until the Spaniards took much of it and gave huge areas to others. Buklod believes that a modest restitution should be given to the present descendants of our forebears who are suffering in poverty. We make some broad calculations and we believe that such a public policy is affordable when spread over a period of, say, 15 years. We will start the implementation of this program by providing decent shelter to poor people who are homeless and who presently sleep in the sidewalks, and you see many of them today. Those living under bridges and along waterways, and those squatting on private and public land. Of course, we will design a detailed program, including financing for this huge housing undertaking at the opportune time. But we want to emphasize that we believe this program is doable, especially considering that the state itself owns parcels of land that are presently not utilized. A part of Buklod's poverty eradication program, as part of Buklod's poverty eradication program, we will create the necessary organization to deal with this enormous and complex undertaking by creating a separate government department for this purpose. All existing government agencies dealing with poverty and similar activities will be consolidated into this new government department. Additional new agencies within this new department will be organized as would be needed. Part of this organization plan is to appoint and provide people development officers in identified areas where extreme poverty exists. These people development officers will be the frontline personnel who will implement Buklod's poverty eradication programs in the respective geographical areas of responsibility. I thought I would present in some detail, as I did, Buklod's poverty eradication program to provide you with an idea of the depth and the breadth of what Buklod intends to do in dealing with the problems confronting our country. Without going to the same level of detail, I just would like to enumerate some of the important problem areas that Buklod would like to confront as part of transforming the Philippine society to a higher level of development. We will pursue more aggressively the development of agriculture, especially recognizing that much of the incidence of poverty are in the rural agricultural areas. There have been many previous plans, and I was told that quite a lot of plans regarding this important aspiration. Buklod plans to improve these plans and make them happen. Recognizing that the Philippines is composed of many islands, we will make an intensive study and prepare a blueprint of developing national highways and railroads connecting major islands by bridges and ferries, improving air and sea travels by developing new airports and waterports, and improving existing ones. These long-term plans will borrow ideas from the Eisenhower Federal Highways Development Plans established in the US in the 1950s. On economic development, we will identify the areas of economic activities where additional employment can be generated and areas where the Philippines and Filipinos can excel, thereby attracting foreign investments. We will develop the necessary strategies to successfully engage in those chosen areas, including appropriate changes in our education system. Under these programs, we will encourage the development of small businesses that would provide employment in the countryside. For the same purpose, we will focus on developing more intensively tourism business by building the necessary tourism infrastructures. To attract more foreign investments, we will encourage high-level manufacturing operations, particularly in electronics and perhaps aviation. Attract foreign entities to do the research and development activities in the Philippines, and establish Metro Manila as a global capital market center. The success of these programs will require changes in the focus and formulating priorities in our education system. But more than this, we will study closely how the cost of doing business could be reduced so that the Philippines can become cost competitive and with other countries. We are a high-cost country, as you probably know, especially in the low-cost and medium-cost manufacturing. The areas of focus would be reduction in the cost of energy, fast development of transportation infrastructure, such as highways, railways, ports, and airports, promulgation of a fair competition law, and making doing business in the Philippines easy by eliminating existing bottlenecks, delays, and unnecessary requirements relating to business registration, approval, and other regulatory processes. On political development, Buklod is committed strongly to adopt an anti-dynasty law to loosen the grip of the political dynasties in the government leadership, thereby producing new ideas. You need this change to create new ideas for the country's development. Develop a much wider degree of decentralization of government services to the LGUs. Make the LGUs a little bit more powerful in recognition that such a step will hasten economic and political development. The potential areas for additional decentralization are in education, health services, and